So as you all know, this channel is all about trying to invest, save money, and think about the future. I actually try to always be frugal. I shop at like 99-cent store. I'll go to El Polo Local to eat, and sometimes that gets in the way of actually having good relationships with people. As an example, recently, actually, one girl dumped me because I didn't really want to go to Maestro's, or is that Mastro's in Beverly Hills? But it's really an expensive, extravagant place, and my own view is there's really no justification or real good reason to spend that kind of money to have a good time, because there's so many things you could do for free essentially. You could walk on the beach, you could go to the Griffith Park Observatory in Los Angeles, you could go hiking in national parks, you could go for a nice drive on PCH. So the idea of spending $150 is really, whatever it is, it really is not that necessary in reality, because the truth is, if someone really values your time and your company, you don't have to spend an extravagant amount of money in order to really have a good time and have great shared experiences. I think there are quite a number of people actually who really seem to think that they can pretty much use dating as a way to get freebies, to go to get some extravagant meal and things of that sort. And I think that this is definitely it's definitely something that people should look out for. People need to start thinking about, is this person really interested in my company, or are they using it for some ulterior motive, such as just to get some freebie? And I think that this is actually a lot more of a pervasive problem than many people realize. I think that a lot of people are not even able to spot people like this. I think that it's okay to go to places like this occasionally, but I think there are important ways to figure out ways to avoid dealing with people like this to begin with. One way I recommend is occasionally offering to go to some place that really is pretty cheap and low end, as a way of trying to basically help people self-select themselves out of your dating pool. As an example, I took a long-time girlfriend to El Polo Loco, and it actually was a trick. The whole point at the time was with the aim of trying to see if she was interested in pretty much trying to take her to expensive places. So I figured if she wouldn't be really upset about going to El Polo Loco, I figured that's science is a keeper. So the major reason why I don't like the idea of spending $100 to $150 to $200 at a restaurant is because it actually, in my own view, it sets me back. It actually does, because my own view of life is that I want the future to be even better. Whereas if I'm spending a lot of money today for some expensive restaurant, I'm really actually setting myself back, because it means it's going to be so much harder to actually make progress and make even more money if I'm always spending it and it's out the door. And I think that a lot of people have a misguided view of money. Their view is always how to spend it, how to have some luxurious product or service as quickly as possible. But the truth is that that mindset actually is very poisonous. We see this especially with lottery winners, that they make an extravagant amount of money really quickly. I don't know, 5, 10, even $20 million, and almost all the studies show that the money is gone. And I think it just has to do with the fact that they are not a fanatic about not managing their money correctly. So when it comes down to people, I really value having really high quality connections with people who I have shared values with. And to me, you don't really need to spend, I know a lot of people think you need to spend a lot of money to impress someone, but I think that might be a sign that the values are incorrect. If you are someone who values saving and investing for the future, and the other person's, yeah, I want you to take me out to really expensive restaurants, and you better buy me a whole bunch of products. Well, that's not really a very equal kind of connection where it shows that the person is really interested in you. They're more interested in what kind of experiences you can provide them. And I think that that's a very asymmetrical connection. In long term, there's no possible way those kinds of connections can work. I think it's fine to every now and then spend money on some experience where it actually enriches the time that you're spending quality time together. But far too many people feel as though they have to impress the other person with a lot of money, and that's actually one reason why if you ever go to Beverly Hills, you'll see people just driving around in these expensive cars trying to show off to people. But in a way, they are actually somewhat shallow because I don't really understand anything about them. I know that they are driving an expensive car, which they, of course, they didn't build the car, they didn't design it, they just bought it. So it doesn't really say much about the person other than the fact that they have enough money to actually pay for this item. If you're not, my own view is that you should be able to spend time with someone even if you're basically are not spending any money whatsoever. There are so many things that you could do that are free that it shows in a way that there's a higher level of connectedness if you're not expecting anything whatsoever. So I think that that's something that a lot of people fail to realize. They because especially even in our culture, you'll see it in TV shows. They'll bring up the idea that you absolutely need to spend money to impress her, or even for women, they have to buy the most expensive outfit in order to show that they're super cool and in the hip crowd. So I think it is definitely a pervasive issue. Now, on the other hand, I do understand it from a biological point of view, why women will want a guy to spend a ton of money on her. I think biologically, there's a part of women where they're trying to get a sense of whether this guy is able to take care of her and possibly support her children or whatever, things like that. I think it's kind of built into mindset. It's kind of like a test to see whether he is actually capable of. But nowadays, you can kind of get a sense of whether someone is financially responsible and capable of doing those things just by seeing how they actually are living and how they're managing their own money already. So I think that's really a good sense of how that can be done. But I do understand how there is that is part of the psyche. But I think then it's the job of some guys actually to try to make it clear that, hey, I am financially responsible. I don't need to spend a ton of money in order to prove that that I have the means. And in fact, it's a little bit ironic because it's the process of spending the money that one is actually becoming poorer and thus even less likely to be able to do these things in the future. So it is a little bit of an odd predicament on that regard. So what I recommend though is that you don't have to avoid spending money to have a good time on a date every now and then, but I think it's important to also do the test like I did, where you take them to someplace cheap on purpose as a way of trying to see if she is really going to be really just walk up and say, hey, I'm not going to go to this Paul Local. What do you think I am? Yeah, so if you do that, you pretty much got a winner in my view, because I think that it's a good sign that you're not dealing with someone who's completely superficial and shallow. So that's something to think about, and I hope that we'll be able to talk sometime soon in the next video. And feel free to definitely subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps with the Google algorithm, and I look forward to talking with you again in the next video.